Don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing the Line. We've got some news coming out of Canada today, and as you can see, it's entertaining to say the least. Now, we all know Canada's politicians bend over backwards for the left, and they pretty much will do anything for 5 minutes of fame and to get their names in all sorts of news, whether it's good news or bad news, they really don't care. Trudeau is raising his political party and pundits as nonces and weirdos, just the way he likes it. So we'll take a look at these two stories here. This first one's from the Post-Millennial. Canadian MPs prance about in hot pink high heels to raise awareness about domestic violence against women. Male Canadian lawmakers have come under fire after donning pink high heels and raise awareness about violence against women. The politicians were participating in Hope for High Heels campaign sponsored by the Halton Women's Place. The event, which has been running for 4 years, aims to educate men and the boys about gender-based violence while also raising funds for the women's shelter. However, the sight of male MPs prancing around in pink heels has been met with criticism from some social media users who found the spectacle insulting and argue that it trivializes the issue of violence against women. The circus is not helping women in any way, shape, or form. It's men having a goddamn laugh, one Twitter user wrote. Male violence against women is not a laughing matter, and it certainly won't be reduced by a sick bunch of pricks parading around in heels. Others echoed the sentiment, arguing that male violence against women should be tackled through laws and norms, punishing perpetrators rather than through a circus that fails to address the root cause of the problem. I don't know about you, but violence against women or any spouse or violence against anyone is generally punished by law quite thoroughly. At least here in Australia, it is. I know it still happens, obviously, but I don't think the ramifications of law and possible jail time or whatever it is deter these people from hitting their spouse. I mean, violence against women has obviously been going down over the last century or so because it's not acceptable. I mean, we all know where the rule of thumb saying comes from. It used to be a old colloquial saying is you're allowed to beat your wife with nothing but a stick, but it can't be thicker than your thumb. That was an old saying, and obviously we don't beat our wives with a stick no thicker than a thumb. Unless you're R. Kelly, of course, or... oh no, I suppose that was a teenager, wasn't it? So he wasn't married. I mean, everyone knows beating your missus is a bad thing to do. I mean, only VB drinkers and people who, probably mostly Victorians do that. But, just in case we didn't get the message, a bunch of MPs walking around in pink high heels is really going to get that message across. I mean, if anyone gets beaten in that relationship that those MPs are in, I think it would be the MP and not their wives. Or boyfriends in that case. I mean, some of these guys walking around in these high heels have obviously done that before. I don't know about you, but if I'd been put in high heels, I don't think I could make it 5 steps. And these people are walking around the office all day in them. So I don't know about you, but I've got a few questions to ask these MPs, but we'll finish the story here from the Post-Millennial. Men doing drag light doesn't exactly say be confident in our ability to protect you in public as you go about your lives, ladies. That's what women need. Laws and norms punishing male violence against women harshly. Protection because we are physically weak and not because we wear heels, another Twitter user wrote. The controversy surrounding Hope in High Heels campaign has compounded by a recent event in which a transgender woman was arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting a woman at a women's shelter in Windsor, Ontario. The accused 32-year-old Desiree Anderson, also known as Cody D. Intermont, reportedly surrendered to police after the alleged assault, which has raised questions about whether women's shelters should allow transgender women to stay with other women. Well, doesn't that just put a blanket on it? if they're that worried about men beating up women, where they're letting them into women's shelters, you're going about it the wrong way. I mean, you're trying to make it so that women are protected from these aggressive men, but then you're letting men into women's shelters. You can't have it both ways. That's how that kind of stuff happens. But Canada, not being wanting to be left out of the limelight for too long, has the Canadian politics is a bit of a circus show. Anyway, if you're Canadian, I'm sorry for your loss, but you guys voted it in, and you guys are stuck with it. You had plenty of chances to vote that clown out, that backface clown out, but you didn't, and I don't feel bad for you anymore. If you live in Quebec or you live in a major city there, you're probably voting for this clown. But we'll take a look at Trudeau's latest tirade. He got a little bit upset at Elon Musk because the CBC quits Twitter after being labelled a government-funded media. So Elon's come out and decided that he's going to start labelling media as if it's government-funded, like Russia Today, that's obviously government-funded, ABC, SBS, BBC, and here in this case, the CBC. Now, they didn't appreciate that very much. I don't think any of them did, but they all deserved it. And Elon, being the major online troll that he is, and having a fantastic sense of humour, after they come out and said that they were only partially funded by the government, he decided to, they said about less than 70%. So he said, well, here we go. It says 69% funded by the government. Just as a little joke there from Elon, as he does love his trolling and memes. So we'll take a look at this story. This one's from timcast.com. CBC quits Twitter after being labelled government-funded media. Trudeau comments. Pierre Poilievre, we must protect Canadians against disinformation and manipulation by state media. Pierre, if you don't know who he is, go and look him up. He is a fantastic voice on the Canadian, I don't know how their politics work really well there, but the Canadian Parliament system. He is absolutely fantastic. He schools Trudeau on a daily basis. Everyone loves him, and I hope to God, for the sake of humanity and the sake of Canadians everywhere, he is going to be their next Prime Minister, or whatever the hell needs to happen for that to happen. They need to get rid of Trudeau and put Poilievre in. He is fantastic. I don't know quite a lot about him because I'm not a voter in Canada, obviously. But if you guys have any sort of future in Canada, it is not under Trudeau. And Pierre might actually save them. So we'll take a look at these comments here. The outlet, along with all the CBC and Radio Canada related Twitter accounts, will reportedly pause all activity on Twitter. In a Monday statement, CBC Media Relations Director Leon Ma said Twitter was a tool for journalists to communicate. Through the outlet, decision to falsely label the outlet as government-funded media was undermining CBC's work, the Post-Millennial reported. In an email to the Canadian press, Ma alleged Twitter had not contacted the CBC regarding the decision on the label the outlet. The CBC had subsequently sent a letter to Twitter requesting the outlet to reevaluate their decision. I think it says a lot about the Conservative Party of Canada choosing to constantly attack independent media organisations, journalists who are working hard to keep Canadians informed and support our democracy, Trudeau said. On a Canadian Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's request for Twitter to label CBC as a government-funded media last week, CBC serves right across the country, delivers local news and local content in many regions of the country that, yes, has been challenged over the past years. But the idea of adding to the changes and laying on an attack by this Canadian institution, attacking the culture and the local content that is so important to so many Canadians, really indicates the values and the approach of Mr. Poilievre is putting forward. I think it is telling that in order to attack the institution that is important for many Canadians, he runs it to American billionaires. Wow, is he a little spicy over that? I mean, if the Canadian government is actively funding a media organisation, majority of their funding comes from the Canadian government, how do you get upset when someone says that they're government-funded media. That's all it is. It's just a little tag under their Twitter profile. I mean, would they be upset if he didn't do that to Russia Today? I'm sure they would. I'm sure they'd be screaming and kicking that Russia Today is even on Twitter still. But, you know, it's rules for them and not for us. It's everyone has to do what we say. Everyone has to shut up and listen to what media we put out. And how dare you point out that it's government-funded media? Well, it is. It's the truth. If it's funded by the government, what's the harm of putting a label on it saying that? I mean, if you have sugar or dairy or nuts or something in a product, you have to put a label on it stating that it is in that product, gluten, whatever it is, because that is poisonous. It could kill someone. If you're allergic to nuts or something like that, it could kill you if you consume that product. So, what's the difference between labeling a product with poison in it, potentially poison for some people, and labeling information to tell people where it's come from? It gives everyone, you know, this clear perspective of, well, you can point at that and you can say, well, that's owned by BlackRock, that's owned by Vanguard, that's owned by Canadian government, that's owned by, even say Fox News or something like that. You want to know where you're getting your information from. And it's amazing that when the left gets a little uptight about something like this, it's they come out both barrels blazing, and even Trudeau's upset by it. Last week, the Conservative Party Canada leader noted the CBC received almost $1.24 billion from the Canadian government, according to their 2021-2022 annual report, in his request to Twitter. We must protect Canadians against disinformation and manipulation by state media, Poilievre said. His request for Twitter to be labelled to label the outlet, it is in fact, and Canadians deserve the facts. Here's his tweet here. We must protect Canadians against disinformation and manipulation by the state media. This is why I'm asking Twitter and Elon Musk to accurately label the CBC as government-funded media. It is a fact, and Canadians deserve the facts. That's completely true. Last week, National Public Radio NPR also received Twitter's latest label. Similarly decided to step away from Twitter, citing a risk to their credibility. NPR produces consequential independent journalism every day in service to the public. The outlet wrote on Wednesday Twitter post encouraging users to download the NPR application. NPR also instructed readers to follow the outlet's newsletter along with their Instagram and Facebook. It'd be fantastic if Instagram and Facebook come out and started doing the same thing. I mean, anytime you mention the C word or jabbish word around Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, it pops up and you get a little notification underneath letting you know that you need to go and talk to the government or read something from the government to get your facts straight. It'd be entertaining if those other major social media companies started following suit with Elon, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. That is why Twitter is so important right now that we're getting our facts straight, because Elon doesn't really go to either side. He's not left, he's not right. I think he's more really just a humanitarian, and a lot like Russell Brand or even Joe Rogan, you could kind of put them in the middle of the spectrum as well. And yes, they're right on some topics, yes, they're left on some others, but all in all, I think that they're just honest, if anything, and they try to let you make up your own mind, and I don't think putting a label on it, telling you where all the funding's coming from, is a bad thing. I would never have our content go anywhere that would risk our credibility, said NPR CEO John Lansing said in an interview. At this point, I've lost faith in my decision in making at Twitter. The Twitter defines government-funded media as outlets where the government provides some or all of the outlet funding and may have varying degrees of government involved over editorial content. So it's kind of like how the Twitter files revealed that the government is going to Twitter and other companies like Google, Facebook, YouTube, and asking them to censor and de-rank certain, or just blatantly take people off of there and censor them because they don't agree with the thing that person is saying. So it's like if you're trying to say that your favorite color is blue on Facebook. And Facebook goes, okay, well, whatever. And then the government says, no. We don't want people liking blue. We want people to go green. We want everything to be green. So I want you to go in there, derank that content so no one sees it, or block the user so he can't post it, or outright ban them in some cases. And Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, those places have been doing that. And it makes you wonder what kind of place we'd be in right now, post all this virus outbreak and all that, where we would be right now if that information and things like that were not censored, at least censored as bad as some things were, like ivermectin, the things about adverse reactions, all that. And if if they'd come out and just let all the information sit there on the table for everyone to discuss and look at freely, I think we'd be in a lot better place, and I think there'd be a lot less people dropping dead at the moment from various weird reasons. But that's just climate change. Remember, that's climate change causing all those heart problems, and it'd be interesting to see if what would have happened in the last election, even not just in America, but like around the world, in Canada, Australia, Germany, France, all these places, England. It'd be interesting to see what would have happened if all of those social media companies had just stayed out of it and didn't put their political bias onto those things. And Canada is probably one of the worst places for it. Now, I'm very, very keen to see what things that the Australian government had asked Twitter and other companies like Google to censor, derank, and ban. And I'd say it'd be a lot along the lines of the same stuff that the US did and the Biden government. Even Trump's government did the same thing. Not to a massive extent like the Biden government has, but yes, they asked them to censor certain information, which is by all rights a crime against humanity, and freedom of speech and the freedom to think and believe what you want, freedom of religion, is not just we don't have it written down here in Australia like the Americans do there. England's a lot the same. I mean, you can go back to Magna Carta, but no one reads that. It is a fundamental right of a human being. I mean, I don't think you need to express any sort of piece of paperwork to show that you have fundamental human rights. And I think we're getting further and further away from that, especially here in Australia. New Zealand is getting into a scary position right now. Canada's probably long gone. America's on the way. I mean, if Americans are losing their freedom of speech, what hope does anyone else have? But the Great Awakening seems to be slowly stirring up people. With all this information coming out about Twitter files, Pfizer files, things like that, Twitter leaks, it's interesting to see where it's going, and I've got a little bit of hope, but I'm still pretty black-pilled on the whole situation. But if you're a Canadian, the next chance you guys get, go out there and do something to better your situation. You can't just sit around and hope that other people will do it for you, whether it's going out there and billeting for your local representative, helping in the community, just telling people that there's other options to the fascist Trudeau that you have right now. Same here as in Australia. If you're not doing anything to actively promote freedom and, moving the human race into a freer version of what we have now, moving us into a better future, I think you're actively working against it at this point. I mean, if you're trying to walk through 3 feet of quicksand and you've got someone holding on to you, they're not trying to kill you, but if they're weighing you down, they're going to kill you. And I think that's a lot of the quiet majority now, is they're weighing the rest of us down, and to the point where it's getting so bad that they are actually becoming enemies to freedom by just being ignorant, if you get what I mean. But we'll keep a close eye on Trudeau and his Canadian antics anyway. How are you guys going over in Canada? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in another video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.